Hello and welcome to Todd Rolls Dice, where it's finally time to praise the dark gods as we ascend, cutting a bloody swathe through Ghyran. It's slaves to darkness. What more could you possibly want? The only question is, are you deserving of glory? Lydia has our law drop for the day. We're not here for that. We're here for the rules. And what rules, what delights have the dark gods bestowed on us? The forces of the dark gods do like a good battle formation, and there are two in this update. The Chaos Horde sees the Dark Oath emulating the actions of Chaos Warriors. If they seem particularly enraged, the Dark Oath will whip themselves into a frenzy to impress them. If they smell awful, the Dark Oath will put on a bit of a cough. Champions of Chaos, on the other hand, really benefits characters who gain an extra 2 attacks for walking the path to glory. There are 3 new artifacts. The Varanite Shackle is especially useful to Dark Oath Hordes as it gives nearby units a 6-up ward, which can become a 5-up ward if they pledge themselves to Nurgle. Meanwhile, the Amulet of Chaos harvests the energies of slain foes and uses it to bring Dark Oath warriors back to the fight. Now that sounds more like my kind of thing. Lastly, the Head of the Unworthy can be claimed by a hero should another of your heroes be slain to gain 8 Dark Apotheosis points. It's almost like they wanted the other guy to die. Yeah, stabbing each other in the back. That's the Chaos way. So while they mentioned Dark Oath in the article, there is no Dark Oath in the picture, which makes me sad. But I guess it's fine because the Chaos Warriors do look pretty awesome. And Abraxia is quite a cool model as well. And the faction terrain looks pretty good there as well, actually. God, I love this faction. So the War Scroll update is for none other than Abraxia, the Spear of the Everchosen herself. Already an all-conquering nightmare on the battlefield, her acquisitiveness has, is that even a word? Has ascended to new heights. Put simply, what was yours is now hers, and you're lucky if you're still alive to thank her for taking it off your hands, so she can take objectives better. She can now charge through enemy units, we've seen that before. She can heal when she's contesting an objective she doesn't yet control. Okay, again, there's so much objective play in these new War Scrolls, which, just to point out again, they are not legal to play yet. You can play them, absolutely play them, but they are meant for use with the next GHB, which is coming out in a couple of weeks, we think. So again, loads of objective play. And when she wounds big foes with her spear, they suffer much severe mutations, and they can't possibly think about holding an objective. So she is just an objective taker, isn't she? Nearby units that don't have a pledge to chaos are inspired to greater acts of violence when trying to take an objective. It's kind of like an offering to Abraxia. She could easily take it herself, but it's the thought that counts. So we have battle profile for Abraxia. We'll get onto that once we look at the faction update. I thought we were going to get another look at objectives this week. Did they not say? I suppose there's still today's and Sunday. Anyway, right. Put away your 8-pointed stars, forget your pledges to chaos, and get out of the Varan Spire. Tomorrow, I'm going to hike up a mountain. Bring your sunglasses. And that's the next video. It will be dropping today, I can confirm that. And it is the Lumineth, which I'm actually interested in. It's a faction that I want to know more about. But how about we jump into this one? Faction rules. Slaves to Darkness. Our battle formations. Chaos Horde gives you a once per turn army hero phase ability. Devotees of Ruin. Declare, pick a friendly Warriors of Chaos unit, then pick up to 2 visible friendly Dark Oath units who do not have a pledge to chaos keyword and are wholly within 12 inches of that Warriors of Chaos unit to be the targets. Effect. Until the start of your next turn, the targets have the same pledge to chaos keyword as the Warriors of Chaos unit. Interesting, and I suppose that's more focused on bringing in a mix of units together. We also have Champions of Chaos, which is just a passive ability, Paragons of Darkness. Effect, add 2 to the attack's characteristic of melee weapons used by friendly non-monster Slaves to Darkness heroes. All heroes. Oh, well that wants you to take heroes. That's nice. That's very nice. Our Artefacts of Power, the Fell Artifacts, hero only. First one is an end of turn ability, Amulet of Chaos. Declare, pick a visible enemy unit within 12 inches of this unit to be the enemy target. Then, you can pick a friendly Dark Oath infantry unit in combat with that enemy unit to be the friendly target. Effect, roll a d3 on a 2 up, inflict an amount of mortal damage on the enemy target equal to the roll. If there is a friendly target, return a number of slain models to it equal to the roll. A little bit of mortal damage, a little bit of healing. It's not going to be a huge amount, but you might get a couple of models back. Okay, it's not terrible. The Varanite Shackle is a passive ability. Effect, friendly non-Warriors of Chaos slaves to darkness units have a ward 6 up while they're wholly within 12 inches of this unit. Like they mentioned, put that on a Dark Oath. Well, any Dark Oath character, I suppose. It would probably be quite fun on a Chieftain on horse, and then cavalry units that are backing them up will get a 6 up ward. It's not bad. Our final passive is Head of the Unworthy. Effect, if a friendly Slaves to Darkness hero with any Dark Apotheosis points is destroyed, give this unit 8 Dark Apotheosis points, which just means you can turn into a Demon Prince. Good bit of fun. That one's probably a bit more situational, but it's a nice fun rule, I suppose. You're probably not going to take it all the time. And then we have the War Scroll for Abraxia, Spear of the Everchosen. She has a 10-inch move with a 3-up save and a 5-up ward, 14 health, 5 control. I think 5 control and a 14 health model is fairly standard these days, isn't it? You have 2 melee weapons. The first one is Gorbolga, the Accursed, that's the spear. It's anti-hero +1 rend, charge +1 damage. 5 attacks, hits on 3s, wounds on 3s, 2 rend, 3 damage. So against a hero on the charge, it's going up to 3 rend, 4 damage, which is quite brutal. And then we have the Thanatorg's Vicious Claws. Their companion attacks, they have the battle damage trait. So while this unit has 10 or more damage points, the attack's characteristic is reduced to 4, so -2 if you have 4 health or less. Hits on 4s, wounds on 2s, 2 rend, 2 damage, so not useless. We also have 4 abilities. First one, once per turn army any charge phase, Unstoppable Invasion. Declare, if this unit charged this phase, pick an enemy unit within 1 inches of it to be the target. Effect, inflict d3 mortal damage on the target, then roll 2d6. This unit can move a distance up to the value of the roll, can pass through models in the target unit, but must end that move in combat. So it's not in combat with that target, it's just in combat. Keywords Rampage. There's quite a lot to that, isn't there? So d3 mortal damage, then roll 2d6. You can move that much as long as you finish in combat. As far as those type of rules go that we've seen recently, I think that's a better one. Our combat phase ability, Champion of the Undivided. Declare, pick a friendly, non-unique Slaves to Darkness unit wholly within 12 inches of this unit, and that does not have a Pledge to Chaos keyword to be the target. Effect, for the rest of the turn, add 1 to the rend characteristic of melee weapons used by the target while they are contesting an objective you don't control. It's extra rend. I mean, it's a nice extra. Let's put it that way. You don't have to roll anything to do it, you just get it while you're within 12 inches. We have an end of turn ability, our first of 2, Unending Will to Conquer. Effect, if this unit is contesting an objective you do not control, heal d6 this unit. That's nice. So you really want her pushing up and just contesting and trying to take objectives that you don't control, don't you? And our final ability, another end of turn, the Mutative Spear. Declare, pick an enemy unit that had any damage points allocated to it this turn by this unit's combat attacks to be the target. Effect, the target has a maximum control score of 1 for the rest of the turn. I thought that had something to do with monsters. I mean, still, you're just reducing control score so that... is that at odds with contesting? Because that would mean you then control the object. Interesting. Interesting abilities. She is keywords, unique hero, monster, 5-up ward, chaos, slaves to darkness, warriors of chaos. Again, we're seeing a theme with these abilities. They're all tying in and pointing to certain things. This whole faction pack is about seemingly bringing the Dark Oath in as more of a companion unit to your Warriors of Chaos and your Chaos heroes, as opposed to having... What it felt like to me with the Battle Tome when I first skimmed through it was you had this heavy armoured Warriors of Chaos section, and then you had the barbarian human tribes who were just off on their own. There was a little bit of mixing. You could probably do things, but most of the time it wasn't really about mixing the two. Certainly themey and narratively in my brain. But rules-wise, there wasn't a lot of compatibility between them from what I remember. They're obviously trying to do that with this. I quite like the idea. This version of Abraxia is 360 points. Regiment options not to one Ruinous Champion and any Slaves to Darkness. So you can take her with Dark Oath as well. Now, They already have the battle tome, so I can't show you the faction pack because it will probably be out of date, but I do have my battle tome here. So let's have a little look. The melee weapons haven't changed. None of the companion attacks have got better. So they hit on 2s instead of 3s, and they have 2 rend instead of 1. Still 2 damage. Her base stats are the same. She still has a 5-up ward. Her passives, well, her abilities, sorry, are very different. So our first one, Warlord of the First Circle. Effect: if a friendly Varangard unit uses the Relentless Killer's ability while wholly within 12 inches of this unit, that unit does not have Strike Last as a result of the ability. So you're losing buffing Varangard, which is a pretty big loss if you're going for heavily armoured, expensive cavalry. A once per turn army combat phase ability, Roar of Domination. Declare pick an enemy hero in combat with this unit to be the target. Effect: roll a dice. On a 3-up, subtract 1 from the attack's characteristic from the target's melee weapons for the rest of the turn. Keywords Rampage. That's quite a nice ability as well. Any combat phase ability, Gorbulga the Accursed. Very different. Effect: if this unit is in combat, roll a dice and apply the corresponding effect. On a 1, Uncontrollable Power, allocate 1 damage point to this unit. On a 2, the Spear Slumbers, no effect. On a 3 to a 5, White Hot Varanite. Add 1 to the damage characteristic of this unit's Gorbulga for the rest of the turn, which, Gorbulga is different, so this one already has that extra baked in damage, because her standard war scroll is 2 damage instead of 3. Okay, interesting. And finally a 6. The effect of White Hot Varanite applies, and this unit's Gorbulga has Crit Mortal for the rest of the turn, so on a 6 it just becomes Crit Mortal as well as the extra damage, but you already have the extra damage, so really all you're losing from that is Crit Mortal and not doing damage to yourself. Our final ability that's different is a passive Blood of Molten Varanite. Effect: roll a dice each time a damage point allocated by a combat attack is inflicted on this unit. On a 4-up, inflict 1 mortal damage on the attacking unit after the fight ability has been resolved. So a little bit of splashback for hits that she takes. Keywords are the same. The standard war scroll is 320 points. So the Scourge of Ghyran is, again, as expected for a big hero model, it's 40 points more, so there's an increase. She loses a 4-up do mortal damage back when she takes a wound. She loses an element of the Gorbulga skill, but the main bit, the extra damage, it's baked into the war scroll, so I'll ignore that. She loses the Varangard, and she loses her hero dueling -1 on a 3-up, -1 to a hero's attacks. So 40 points extra, but she hits harder, the Vicious Claws hit harder, she can heal now, and she is much more shenanigany with objectives, which, from what I'm going to suspect, is where this is going. I'm still on that train of thought. For an extra 40 points, I don't think that's a bad change. She also ties in with non-pledge to chaos keywords. So the pledge to chaos change is an interesting one because it has to be units that do not have a pledge to chaos keyword, and if it's only +1 rend, so mind you, on a blob of Dark Oath infantry it's probably quite nice extra. Pledge to chaos, you do it at the start of your hero phase, so you're constantly pledging units to chaos. I'm not entirely sure if you've got a low unit count, you're going to get a huge amount of benefit from that, because I think you have to do it every turn, if I remember rightly. I quite like the D3 mortals and then move through a unit, potentially, and I'm reading that, I might be reading it wrong. I'm reading it as move through a unit and then into another unit, or end that D6 movement, 2d6 movement, sorry, in another unit, potentially tying up something else. That's how I'm reading that. I don't know. The heal is great. The heal is probably worth, well, the heal and the extra damage is probably worth the extra 40 points, in all honesty. Unstoppable Invasion is a good bit of extra for that as well. Yeah, I don't know. Again, it's a more expensive unit, but it's not necessarily better. I can see why you'd want either one. For me, and how I would be looking to run her with Dark Oath and things like that, and not taking Varangard because I don't want to min-max my army, I don't gain the benefit of the Varangard not getting Strike Last for her base war scroll. I don't gain much other benefits. Whereas with this, yes, she's more expensive, but you may connect with her more. She's going to be more survivable and she's going to do more damage. And as you're pushing forward and trying to take objectives and contesting objectives, she's who you want leading the charge. I like this. I've always liked this model. I think these stats are good. I think the other stats are good. I think you'd get more use out of the standard faction war scroll because most people will be taking Varangard and using those abilities. The hero hunter vibe that she has is good. I really like the fact that her spear damages her on a natural one on that skill roll as well. That's nice and themey, whereas that's gone. The Molten Blood thing is cool as well, so when she takes a wound she does damage back. It's not going to be a huge amount, but still it's nice. She doesn't really have the themey stuff that her standard war scroll does. In this, she's obviously just going in and she's taking charge, and she's gonna, having come out of her narrative event at the end of 3rd edition, she's focused on just being an absolute hammer and destroying everything in her path. Narratively, I like that. I don't know. There isn't a better or worse. That's, again, another good thing. Does it make me want to run Abraxia in my army? No. But it doesn't mean I wouldn't. There isn't a reason why I wouldn't take a other war scroll either. It's just I've not built into that way. And I like to try and not take named heroes unless it's Gunnerbrand because he's the fucking boss. But this isn't bad. This isn't what I was hoping for, but I don't know what I was hoping for Slaves to Darkness. Paragon of Darkness is very nice, just 2 extra attacks for all of your heroes. Devotees of Ruin mirrors the Pledge of Chaos and lets you mix Chaos Warriors and Dark Oath, which is cool. Maybe a big blob of Chaos Warriors with Dark Oath just filling in the flanks. That's great. I like that. The Artefacts of Power are okay. I think the 6-up ward one is really nice, and if you put it on a Dark Oath Chieftain. And the thing with Dark Oath is the infantry units want heroes around them to give them the hero buffs. So you stick that on a War Queen, on a Chieftain, on a horse. You're going to get some good benefit out of it. And the Nurgle bit in the article, because it doesn't state anywhere here, if you take a Blessing of Nurgle or you're pledged to Nurgle, if the unit has a 6-up ward, they gain a 5-up ward instead. If the unit doesn't have a ward, they gain a 6-up ward. So that's nice and gives you that little bit extra. And, well, being able to spread that out of it, that's actually really strong, isn't it? So you take a War Queen, just to theorize, if you take a War Queen, because I think the Dark Oath War Queen is probably the best of the 3 hero options that the Dark Oath have. No, take it back, she already has a 5-up ward. Take a Chieftain, because he doesn't have a ward, and early on in the battle you pledge him to Nurgle, you give him the Varanite Shackle, and he has a 12-inch aura of 5-up ward. Stack 2 lots of 20 blobs of Marauders. Once per fight action, you can pick one of those blobs of Marauders to fight an enemy after he has fought, before that enemy fights, which is strong. Within 12 inches of him, if they do fail their ward saves, which they probably will, on a 5-up they explode and inflict mortal damage back on an enemy as well. And that's within 12 inches. 40 Dark Oath Marauders, 1 Chieftain, a whole load of, hey, we might live, but if we die, we're going to explode and might do your damage back. Just sounds really fun to me. In fact, I think I might take that. I also like the Amulet of Chaos, potentially on a War Queen, because it has to be Dark Oath infantry. There's no point in putting on a Chieftain on a horse, because it's not going to get any benefit. I suppose it is within 12 inches of the unit, so it doesn't necessarily... yeah, I don't know. Options, choices, things to do. Fun things to do, which is the main thing. I think, for me, running Dark Oath, I would still always take Dark Oath Horde, because once per turn, in your movement phase, you can bring back, on a 3-up, you can bring back half a unit, basically, that was destroyed that last turn. I think I'd maybe always go for that. But I can see an argument for +2 attacks on heroes because they are very choppy. So I'm guessing if you took Paragons of Darkness, you could get +2 attacks on Eternus, if you're ever going to run Eternus. I don't know if you would. Your Centurion Marshal, which could be fun. Are they not monsters? Okay, interesting. A Demon Prince isn't classed as a monster, so you could get an extra 2 attacks on your Demon Prince. Chaos Lord on Mount, Chaos Lord on Crackerdrak, Chaos Lord, Exalted Hero of Chaos could be fun as well. I do like that model. You could put it on Chaos Sorcerer Lords, you could put it on an Ogrid Myrmidon, to make him 8 attacks. Hits on 3s, wounds on 2s. 1 rend, 3 damage. That's not bad for 8 attacks. Yeah, I mean, that's actually, if you're not going Dark Oath, that's quite brutal. Yeah, okay, so not what I was thinking, but I'm starting to see some really fun stuff in here that you can do. This War Scroll is fine. I'm waning on it a little bit the more that I think about it. Artefacts of Power, Head of the Unworthy is pretty good if you want to go that route, but you are then willing one of your heroes to be killed, but when they die, another unit gets 8 points straight away, so that's not the end of the world. The Varanite Shackle is really nice, and you can do some horrible things on that with Dark Oath, and the Amulet of Chaos is useful as well. I think you could find some uses for that. I mean, roll a d3 on a 2-up, so quite a bit of the time. A little bit of mortal damage and bring some units back. On a blob of 20, you'll have a 5-up ward. You can see how all of this is going to play in as you've got heroes stacking in behind these units. Well, not behind, they'd be leading from the front. The battle formations aren't bad. Yeah, no, this is good. Again, it's more a different way of playing rather than a better way of playing. That's what this whole thing is about, I think. And it's actually really exciting because I really want to know what the next year of AOS is going to be. I'm getting really excited about it. Can you tell? I hope that's coming across. Usually I'm worried about Games Workshop changing the rules every year and new editions every 3 years and all of that. But when they do it this way, I think it adds a bit of fun and it adds a bit of hype and build up. We're getting new rules every day. And it's just new ways of playing. It's not better, it's not worse necessarily. It's a sideways step, but it's more options, which is really cool. Anyway, I'm going to leave this one there. Let me know what you think in the comments below. As always, thank you very much for watching, and I'll see you all in the next one.